What kind of person wants another movie where a nerdy person gets revenge for having been bullied?
What kind of person owns rats?
And what kind of person thinks this movie was good?
All this and more on Gory Storytime.
Warning. Gory Storytime is a horror movie review show by a son and his dad who thought that letting his 5-year-old watch scary movies was acceptable. If you are offended by horror or talk about blood and gore by a child, or if you don't want horror movies from the 60s through today spoiled, then there is a remote stuck in your couch cushion next to potato chip crumbs. Use it. And of course, parental discretion is advised.
Why? You didn't use any.
Shut up and start the show.
Welcome to Gory Storytime. I'm your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig, and let me quickly just answer those questions for you. We do, and let's see. Nice try, but you're going to need to watch and find out how we feel about this movie.
So go match those up. And this week, the final of the 4 Animal Attack movies.
Yes.
We are reviewing
Creature
the
features, as they call it.
1971 classic
Willard. Here's the basic premise. There's this guy. His name is Willard. He seems to have very few friends his own age.
He's awkward.
He's very awkward. He lives with his mother in a giant house that was left to him, or left to them, when his dad died. It's not fully paid off. His mom is sick and dying, and everyone that's ever at the house is either friends or family with his mom and not his friends.
Yes.
Like, it starts with it shows his birthday party, and like everyone is her age that comes to wish him a happy birthday.
And she's like, aren't you glad I invited all your friends over?
Yeah. And she kind of hounds him to kill rats that are out in the yard. And he intended to until he decided they were cute and wanted to befriend them.
So he did.
And everybody in his life, almost everybody, there's one exception we can get into later.
Yeah.
But most everybody is just a jerk to him.
Just the worst.
If he needs
The
money,
most
they won't
awful.
loan him money. If he needs his job, he gets threatened to be fired. If he wants a raise, he gets threatened to be fired.
If he does his job well, he's told, hey, you're horrible. If he doesn't do
His
his
boss
job
makes
well,
him work on weekends when no one else does. Keeps reminding him, hey, I only gave you this job as, a promise I made to your mom when your dad died. His dad owned the thing.
And the guy
this
stole
guy
it.
basically stole it when it should have went to Willard anyway. And he slowly gets more and more upset about things. I won't get into all the list of things that happened to him, but...
So, now that you know at least the first 5 minutes of the movie, because that's all it takes for you to learn all of these things.
I mean, every scene you're like, oh, I don't like this person around him. Then he basically trains his rats because he becomes friends with them because he doesn't have his own friends, and hilarity ensues.
I mean, I guess
There's some funny stuff
There
that
is some
happens.
funny stuff in this movie.
And that's all I want to do without spoiling it. So why don't we throw it to a trailer so you can see what we're talking about.
Willard!
This is Willard, and these are his friends, Ben and Socrates.
I'm gonna have a big surprise tomorrow.
Willard takes good care of them,
What's that in your pocket? There's something in your pocket.
and they will do anything for Willard.
Julie.
Walter. Please, Walter, there's something outside the door.
My God, look at the rats.
You made me hate myself. Well, I like myself now.
You know my life has changed now.
Two things did it. One was a friend I had named Socrates, and you.
Where your nightmares end, Willard begins.
Tear him up!
No, Willie! Look, no, Willie! Willie, no! No, Willie!
Willard is the one movie you should not see alone.
Well,
That was an interesting trailer. I'm not.
I mean, in case you forgot that this is a horror movie, that trailer really made you remember that.
Which is odd in a way, which we'll get into. But is there anything else you want to say about the basic premise before we get into all the other
Not
parts of the
specifically.
show?
I can say, before we go in depth and break down all the insides and the spoilers, it's free everywhere. So I don't even have to tell you where to find it.
Like if there's a streaming platform that
Isn't
offers
company
free
specific,
things,
I guess.
well, that offer free things, it's there. Free.
It's all over there. It's all over the place.
You know, there's
So watch
there's
it
streaming
before we do
services that
that.
have commercials, so it's all free. It's on
Yeah,
those.
It's on those.
If you don't want to watch commercials, it's on some of the bigger ones that are also free.
Yeah.
Anyway, but now we get into the real thing that this show is about.
Yes, indeed.
See, I say it every time, and people just don't listen. They're like, oh, we love how you review horror movies, which, I mean, we do that, but they're missing the point. The real reason we do this is to make tons of cash. And the way we do that is by offering our services, selling other people's things for big truckloads of money.
Yes.
So these are all real items that actually exist that you can purchase or use in some way, depending on what they are. And, you know, this is how we make our living. People back up a Brinks truck full of money. Still haven't got quite enough coins to have the Scrooge McDuck swim tank thing going, but we're working on it. But this week, Gory Storytime is brought to you by Unusual Pet Trainers of America, the training school for all of your less conventional pets. There are many dog training services and books for you, but what about your piranha, cockatiel, or hamster? Well, that's when Unusual Pet Trainers of America is for you. We can teach your pet to help clean, fun tricks, and even become trained to protect your home. Imagine the look of surprise on the face of an intruder when they're attacked by an iguana who feels no mercy. Unusual Pet Trainers of America, because not everyone's best friend is a dog.
All right. Going to them. And by Revenge Inc., the company that promises to get the revenge you seek on those who make your life harder. You tell us your traumatic story and we'll design the perfect revenge. Revenge Inc. does not engage in violence, so we will not harm the person physically. That said, it's amazing how many things don't physically hurt that can utterly destroy you. Revenge Inc. If you can't beat them, hire someone who can, at least scar their psyche.
All right. Now let's get into the meat and beef of the show, the behind-the-scenes information, as it were.
Yes. The surprise box office success of this movie would inspire a huge amount of animal-themed horror movies in the early 70s.
Which is funny because The Birds was before this, wasn't it? So
60-something, yeah.
I would say that
Couple
probably
years.
was more of a lead-in, but I get it. According to Ernest Borgnine's autobiography, the studio offered him a choice of either a higher salary or a percentage of the box office. Borgnine chose the higher salary.
All right. According to an issue of TV Guide released at the time, Ernest Borgnine had to overcome a fear of rats prior to filming. I mean, yeah, you'd have to do that for a movie like this.
Bruce Davison had a rat placed on his shoulder as part of his audition for the part of Willard Stiles.
Makes sense. The location for the Stiles family house is the Higgins Verbeck Hirsch Mansion in the Windsor Square neighborhood of Los Angeles. This was the second feature film to shoot on the premises. It was built in 1902 for Illinois' grain magnate Hiram Higgins at its original location on Wilshire Boulevard at Rampart Street. In 1924, the home's new owner, Howard Verbeck, had it cut into 3 sections and trucked to its present location on S. Lucerne Boulevard,
That'd be south.
just north of Wilshire. After the Great Depression, it fell into disrepair due to over 50 years of neglect. In 1988, it was designated Los Angeles Historic Cultural Monument number 403.
The house used as the Stiles family home was also later used in the films Witchboard from 1986, Waxwork in 1988, and Elvira, Mistress of the Dark in 1988.
Crazy.
Gotta love Cassandra. You gotta watch that movie.
Bruce Davison and Sandra Locke were dating in real life at the time of the film was being made in 1970. They never appeared as a couple in public because Locke was married.
Not great. Let's see. The scenes of the rats took upwards of 30 takes to get right.
Wow.
But it was worth it, right?
Definitely. This film was the first theatrical production from Bing Crosby Productions since its purchase by Cox Broadcasting in 1968. By 1971, Bing Crosby was no longer associated with BCP, which had produced a number of films during the 40s and 50s. BCP also produced the sequel to this film, Ben, the very next year, 1972.
Al Martin asked his secretary Alice to produce $8,000 in cashier's checks and cash for Walter Spencer, who's going on a European vacation, which amazes Alice and the rest of the Martin staff. $8,000 in 1971, the year of the release of this film, is equivalent to about $54,000, $54,037.93 in 2021. So,
I want $8,000 in 1971.
now in 2022 it would be worth less because money's not worth as much because things are so expensive. But hey, inflation happens.
The final film appearance of Elmira Sessions. Elmira Sessions.
The film's Spanish title is La Revolución de las Ratas, which translated into English is The Revolution of the Rats.
Sure. Sandra Locke was 2 years and 1 month older than Bruce Davison.
This film was announced as Ratman's Notebooks, the title of the novel by Stephen Gilbert on which it was based.
Oh, wow. The film's cast included 1 Oscar winner, Ernest Borgnine, and 3 Oscar nominees, Elsa Lanchester, Sandra Locke, and Bruce Davison.
According to Ernest Borgnine, during the filming of his character Al Martin's death scene, he was smeared with peanut butter to attract the rats so it would look like they were attacking him.
In the scene where Willard is threatening Martin with the heavy stick he used to kill Socrates, Bruce Davison accidentally hit Ernest Borgnine on the foot with it. Borgnine's angry reaction was real. Both men later apologized to each other.
When Joan gives Willard the cat Chloe as a pet, she tells him that female cats are good company. Chloe was played by a male cat.
All right. When Willard goes to the sink to add water to the rat poison, you can see the rat wrangler's shadow as he reaches to remove Ben from the center island.
And early in the film, Willard plans on drowning the rats, apparently not knowing that rats are capable swimmers. They could have easily swam across the pool from the island and escaped.
And, finally, Rotten Tomatoes is a website.
Yes, and the way it works, for those who don't watch every week, and if you do watch every week and you're wondering why I repeat myself, it's because there's a classic saying about TV shows. Every episode is somebody's first episode. We would need more people viewing for that to be true, but
Very
listen.
much.
Basically, though, it breaks down to they take all the well-known reviewers. Some
Indeed.
in this case, it's at the time for a lot of them, I'm sure. less new ones probably reviewing this movie. But anyway, they take them, and if it's a positive review, they count it as positive. If it's a negative review, they count it as negative. And then the percentage they give is the percentage of positive reviews. So if that number's low, it's a low percentage. A lot of people get mad thinking that they are actually like, what? You all right over there?
Yeah.
Anyway. A lot of people get mad thinking that Rotten Tomatoes is saying this movie's, 40%. And it's like, no.
Because the people at Rotten Tomatoes might have a different opinion than the
it's not
critics anyway. It has nothing to do with that.
It's what the average critic score says.
Yes.
But anyway, they also have a section for people to vote on what they think.
And
For this movie,
the critics, only 52% of the critics said that it was good.
which is considered rotten.
Very
And
much.
the people have it at 37.
Which is more rotten.
These are people that need to be slapped upside their head.
I need an army of rats
The-
to do my bidding against these people.
Well, the thing is, these people, a lot of the critiques, and it's something I noticed, but I considered it a positive. It's listed as a horror movie, and it is. It is a horror movie after like an hour and 10 minutes of film, and it's like the last 15, 20 minutes.
See, but
is
unlike
horror.
Insidious, the first hour and 10 minutes was good.
Ah. Did you burn your hand? You look like you have a burn on your, like right there.
Oh, no, that's the scar from when I sliced my finger open.
Ah. Sorry, I just noticed like a weird lump on his hand. Anyway, I noticed this, and I saw this as complaints when I saw some bad reviews. It seems like an average, or not average, but it seems like a Disney live-action movie from the early 70s. The film stock, the acting style, nothing inappropriate other than it's like, hey, this person's being a jerk, which happens in a lot of Disney movies. Up until he sicks the rats on his boss, and then
he's
other
like murdered, right?
And there's a couple of scenes where rats commit murder,
Yes.
but other than them, like it seems like that. So some people said it just had a weird tone for them. But here's all I can say: an hour and 10 minutes in, we had to stop to go do something. It hadn't become a horror movie yet. And he couldn't wait to finish watching the movie because he was like, this movie is really good. You have to have patience with movies. I hate when people are like, oh, if something scary doesn't happen in the first 5 minutes, it's not a horror movie. It's like, no.
Some horror movies can do that and then be
I mean,
good
The
the rest
Birds
of the
was
time.
very similar, and it took a long time before The Birds really
Oh, yeah.
did anything. And you love that.
Oh, yeah.
And you know what else has a lot of the same themes as this? Carrie.
Oh, my goodness, and Carrie is so
And
good.
Carrie is definitely a horror movie. Until she goes crazy at the end, everything is
It's
based
just
in
a
reality.
drama.
It's a drama about a girl
woman
being
mistreated by everyone in her life.
and this is a guy being mistreated by everyone in his life
So, like,
and gets revenge. I mean, there's a lot of crossover similarities.
and there's something oddly supernatural about this movie with just how much.
No, you can have that kind of a connection with a pet. You really can.
Okay, but with hundreds?
Yeah, but the connection was with two of them more than anything.
Yeah.
And even one of them was like, oh, really?
Really?
Yeah. And got his... Anyway, I'm not going to spoil the ending. It's a good movie, though. What was your favorite scene?
Well,
Or do you want to start with least favorite and then build up to something good?
yeah, let's go least favorite first.
Okay.
So I guess, and this is very nitpicky, because I had to find something for this section of the show. There was one scene specifically where I could very much tell that these rats were acting. All right,
They were trained.
they were trained. Like
Well
these
trained,
were
well trained.
like these were rats playing different rats, and I could tell. I said it like that, but
What's the scene?
so, like, it showed it in there where they were walking across the board from the window into his basement or whatever. And I mentioned at the time, I was like, okay, except they're doing it single file. They're going one at a time. That's not like a thing that rats would have done because the rats didn't do it earlier in the movie going onto the island.
All right. Well, what would be my least favorite part? I guess the fact that they introduced the one redeeming character in his life fairly late into it, considering he works with her. Like they didn't.
No, I mean, basically, the first time he goes to the office,
No,
he's
but,
like, "Yeah, I hired her
Why wasn't she?
at the party."
Yeah.
Oh, because they hadn't met yet.
Right, but I don't know. I think that having one human on his side,
See-
but that would have probably changed the outcome because
Exactly.
he wouldn't have.
I think we both agree
I'm
that this
trying
movie, we're basically lying to you
I'm
about
trying
the
to pick a
least
hard
favorite things.
Yeah, it's not easy. What was your favorite scene?
Okay. Basically, I think my favorite scene was there was a scene where he was bringing Ben to bed with him to lay down and cuddle with Ben.
No, Ben followed.
Oh no,
him.
not Ben. Socrates.
No, followed him.
Yes. Well, no. So it was Socrates he was taking with him to the bed,
Right.
and
That
whatever.
It's not what he made it sound
It's not
like.
rat sex. I promise.
That's
There's a lot of that
that's-
in this movie.
I mean, there's a lot of multiplying
Off screen,
rats.
at least.
Yes.
But so he's bringing Socrates to cuddle with as he falls asleep, and Ben follows him up, and he's just like, it's funny, honestly. Just like he goes full rage mode and freaks out at Ben. He's like, "Oh, I told you to stay in the basement. Stay in the basement next time," and he kicked him out, and the rat just left and went back downstairs. Like he had no problem with it. He just went downstairs, and he was like, "Yep, all right. Guess I'm getting kicked out now."
Yep. It's like when you're telling your kid, like, all right, go to bed. My favorite scene would probably be, and they showed the shot, like something happens to turn the rats against Willard. I won't
Right.
get into all of it, but there is a glare that he receives from that rat, Ben. Ben
Yeah.
literally slit eyes, just... I don't know how they got this rat to, like, the rat was mad. The rat was pissed off.
They like
and the
took his
rat,
peanut butter or something.
like, literally reads a box and then rats him out with what he read. That's all I'm going to say. You got to watch it. But he glares. And when he glares, go back to the trailer that we played and you'll see it at the beginning of this episode. And it's great.
I mean, it's menacing.
It is.
truly
like,
is.
You actually think, oh no, this rat wants to kill you. Like, that's some acting from a rat.
A rat. Yeah.
Anyway,
So, on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you rate this movie?
I'm going 9.5 because it's such a quality movie. Like, the acting, it's that early 70s acting that all big movies were doing. So when you look at it and go, there's better acting now, yes. But look in the 50s and like we evolved into
this-
more
This
natural.
was The Thing.
Yeah, this was right at the cusp of starting to get more natural acting out of people
Definitely.
in general,
Definitely.
where it seems more real life. Because the whole idea at the beginning of movies was like, well, this isn't real life, it's an escape. We shouldn't act like it's real life because that's the whole point. And people like it better now when it's like, it feels like it could be happening to them. But it had a
Yeah.
time, it had a place, and it works
It
well
definitely,
for this.
definitely did.
So I'm going 9.5.
I'm going to go, the only reason it's not a solid full 10 is nothing to do with this movie at all.
That seems
All right.
fair.
So I'm going with a 9.5 as well, only because there's possibly margin to get better with supposedly both of the future movies,
The sequel and the remake are supposedly rated higher.
and it's like, okay,
But you can't go into them going, prove it. You have to be willing to be
I mean,
open-minded.
first of all,
You have to be
I am
open-minded.
100% open-minded to Ben.
Right.
It's
the
that
remake.
remake.
Right, yeah, because we're used to remakes sucking. Let's
It's
be
like
honest.
it's like
You've seen
you
us.
you can't have
Like, we
20
liked
points
the
better.
Rob Zombie Halloween movies, but to say that they're better than the original Halloween
they're
would be ridiculous.
completely different from the original.
And they're not better.
They're not the
They're
same.
fun, but like,
it's
let's
like
not.
apples to like good tasting apples.
Any what? Sure. Anyway, let's end the show by throwing
On that
up.
side of the screen, you can look at the words that I'm reading. Fact TV channel 1076. That's where you can watch this show on Thursdays 8:30 p.m. and Fridays at 7 p.m.
You can like us on Facebook. And when I say us, what I mean is you can like Gory Storytime, which has been going up a lot lately, and actual ones too.
Like real people?
Oh, yeah. Like I've been contacted by people, which is awesome. Like,
reach out. Give us ideas for the movies that we do.
Absolutely.
You can come on the show and review your favorite horror movie if we haven't.
Yeah. I mean, why not? I don't mind trying to do some sort of guest situation. We've had guests in the past. It's been years, but we've done it. And, also like Fact TV's page because they live stream a lot of this stuff,
If you're watching this live, hey.
And if you're not, how did you hear me ask? Anyway, So the next thing.
Oh, Twitters. Did I say Facebook?
Nope, you haven't done.
Oh no, you said Facebook.
Right.
Oh, so you can go to factdate.com and watch this show, back episodes, other episodes of other shows.
Absolutely.
They have board meetings like every channel does, but they have content.
Yeah, a lot of people.
A lot of decent content.
Yeah, over the years I've seen shows come and go, but there's certain people that have done it for a long time. Yeah. And this is a good channel for that, and they're very open to like new ideas.
Yeah, I don't even remember what their show was called or who they were. But
I don't think I've ever pitched something and had them say no.
There were these three like funny fake news anchors
for a little while. Yeah,
those guys were funny.
I remember.
Go watch them.
But anyway, then you can also follow us on Twitter. I'm at Craig Jakes, all one word, all lowercase.
I'm at Jiggly Firm Brain. I only tweet things that he says that I find funny, both in or out of context, whatever I find funnier at the moment.
And check out my YouTube channel. Just look for Gory Storytime, and you'll find Juggalo Jakes, and you'll also find Fact TV. Like and subscribe to both of them. Give them,
Indeed.
Because independent stuff. We're not making money off it. We're just trying to like get people to be able to view our
opinions.
Yeah, that's it.
We're just trying to be seen by Rotten Tomatoes so we can be included in the rating.
We have got responses from a director once, and
I know.
And we actually got a shout out from a director once, a different one. So
one of them was like, "Hey, sorry you hated my movie so much,"
and the other one was like, "Hey, I'll pump up your show for you," and that was
exactly. Cool. So both were awesome.
Yeah. Anyway,
but
that's the end.
Until next week with a completely unrelated topic, I will be your host, Jason.
I'm his co-host and father, Craig, and
sweet dreams.
like sweet dreams for the other one, you know, like we. Welcome to Higher Learning. I'm calling it a class in disjointed education. Okay, so here's the thing. I have another show that I do called Gory Storytime. And for our 200th episode, we did a bunch of bits. And one of them was we kept coming back and having he and I pitching new show ideas. This was actually one of them. There's a reason why there's a dash in higher, because there is actually someone on YouTube with higher education, like one word, and it's not anything to do with weed. And, you know, I don't want to...
Weed?
Yes. Well, so here's the premise. We, you know, in Vermont, as most people know, it is legal if you're over 21, which he is.
Which I is.
To imbibe in marijuana. So
Which I
since
is.
that's a thing he does, what we figured was we would, every other week, we would come in here and I will try to teach him something while he is baked. And then a week later, he'll come in sober. I'll ask him questions about these facts and see how much actually sunk in while high. So you have to try to pay attention, which is hard for him to do sober. This hopefully will be fun. But just for anyone watching on YouTube, we do not promote using illegal drugs.
No.
So if you live in a state where it's not legal to do,
Then
please do
don't
not
do
do.
it.
This is
All
not...
right? Go to a friend's house in the state where
No.
it's okay. Oh, is that not?
That is absolutely not what I was going to say.
Oh.
I'm literally trying to not get us in trouble with the
Oh.
YouTube rules, and you just fucked it up, and we have to start over. Thank you.
Oh, I've never even.
Literally, you can't get high on fucking screen or get fucking drunk on screen, like on YouTube, and make money, you retard. So can we start over? Because he's a numb ass.
Okay.
Do not suggest people smoke weed. Like, I literally was...
Oh my
you
goodness.
didn't hear me telling people not to?
Where it's illegal.
Oh my God, right. I want it to be clear, we're not promoting the use of drugs. Because
Right.
YouTube will then demonetize them, you tard.
Okay, whatever. Jeez,
Now I have to start over, like we were going good until you happened.
keep this footage for our 300th episode so I can
Of
edit in
this?
our fuck ups.
300th episode
We'll make it.
of this?
No. In our gag reel for the next big one.
Anyway, let me know when. All right. Welcome to our new show, Higher Education. See, I fucked up. Let's try this again. Take 28.
All right.
You can just edit without having to restart, I'm sure. Welcome to Higher Learning, a class in disjointed and All right.
Oh.
See what you did?
See what I did?
I'm sober and you're fucking with me. Anyway, welcome to Higher Learning, a class in disjointed education. And we call it that because we live where it is legal to imbibe marijuana.
Indeed.
And we don't do it in public, obviously. So he consumed an edible and made sure it timed out where it was kicking in when we start the show. And we did a pretty good job of that.
Did indeed.
And what we're going to do is I'm going to, while he's baked, teach him 25 facts. Then next week, we're going to come back and film him sober, and I'm going to give him a quiz on these 25 facts. I'm going to rearrange the order and stuff like that. But then what I'm going to do is ask him those questions and see how well the stuff sinks in. I just thought it would be funny because he doesn't learn well sober. I'm wondering if this may have helped.
Maybe.
No.
Probably not.
I highly doubt it.
I highly doubt it.
Right. That being said, if you live in a state in which it is illegal to do marijuana,
Indeed.
we are not suggesting that you smoke marijuana. We are not promoting illegal drug use. We just happen to live in a place where it is legal, and we thought this would be an interesting experiment.
Yes.
I came up with this because we do a show where we review horror movies, and on our 200th episode, we did a bunch of sketches, and one of them was where we came into the studio and pitched ideas for new shows.
Indeed.
And one of them was this. And we ended up doing another show for a while, and it's been a couple of years, and I was just getting sick of it. So
Just gets depressing on that one.
yeah, it was political, and don't worry about that. But I said, maybe we should try this one, because it's hard to be too depressed when you're high. At least for us.
As long as the questions are good.
So I'll be sober in every episode. He'll be not sober in the first half of every episode. We'll probably release them a half at a time. So
Yeah.
Each week you have something to watch.
Exactly.
But that said, this week I decided I was going to do, and it'll probably be like 25 facts every week. Okay?
Indeed.
And I got 25 facts. They're creepy but true facts.
Ooh.
And I should take these off because I don't need them for reading. And so just pay as much attention as possible.
All right.
Comment on them. I'll comment on them. But try to retain as much as you can. And next week, well, we'll see how that goes.
Pop quiz.
Tooth in the eye surgery. Surgeons place a tooth in a blind person's eye and it restores their sight. This was pioneered in the 1960s, and it actually works. It's still being done today.
I'll just lose my eye. All right.
Real corpses were used in the 1982 film Poltergeist. They were bought from a medical supply center and were much less expensive than making props.
Wait,
We
haven't reviewed that one.
Yes, we have.
The second one?
No, not the second one.
Oh. Poltergeist
Yes.
uses dead people.
The dead
Real
people
live
were-
dead people.
Yes. Well, real live dead people? Yes. They were real live dead people, Jason.
Hold up. I got to reel back from that one. That is not acceptable.
But anyway, there are bodies of over 150 dead hikers on Mount Everest, and they are now used as landmarks for those going up.
Okay, I didn't know that part. I knew that there were a lot of dead people up there, because how do you retrieve that?
See, like I said, these are like creepy facts.
I like this.
I thought you would. The Turritopsis dorhini jellyfish is officially known as the only immortal creature in the world. On its own, it lives forever. You can kill it, but it cannot die of natural causes.
I've heard of that. I've heard of that. I thought it was lobsters.
It's not a lobster.
Well.
It's a jellyfish.
Oh, also, I hope that the question isn't how do you spell?
No.
Okay.
A haunted radio station from Russia has been broadcasting a dull, monotonous tone for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the last 3.5 decades. Every few seconds, it's joined by a second sound that sounds like a ghostly ship sounding off its foghorn.
For how long?
For the last 3.5 decades.
That's a long
Number
time.
6, here's a nice one. Dogs like squeaky toys because they mimic the screams of prey.
Yeah. I mean, I know that
I
makes
knew a
sense.
dog that would rip out the squeaky thing to shut it up, which is almost like nature saying rip out the voice box so it stops screaming while I maul it. That's, yeah.
Pretty neat.
Yeah.
Gotta love dogs.
2 Scottish surgeons invented the chainsaw to assist in childbirth.
Child, nope, no. Hey. Okay. This is a public service announcement. Don't give birth with chainsaws around.
Spiders can survive in outer space.
I've heard that they didn't need oxygen.
No,
but that
no,
just like,
not in the vacuum of space. They've brought up multiple animals and things in spaceships. They had a male and a female spider, and not only did they not die like some of the other animals did, the female made 34 different webs.
Oh.
And the male not only lived to make it back to Earth, but they kept track, and it had lived for like a long time after it got back to Earth. It didn't affect
But the
its
female
lifespan.
spider didn't make it.
I don't know. It didn't give
Oh.
that piece of information, so I don't know.
Yikes.
Locked-in syndrome is a condition in which a patient is fully aware but stuck in a coma-like state. It's kind of like you at home when you have the day off and you just don't want to do anything.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I approve of that message.
while Ted Bundy was a psychology major at the University of Washington, he worked at Seattle's Suicide Hotline Crisis Center.
Bad idea.
Well, they didn't know he was a serial killer.
Oh, well.
Or was going to be. Ducklings, right, cute little ducklings, have been known to engage in cannibalistic behavior when they're bored.
When they're bored.
Not hungry,
Me
bored.
too.
Like, just sitting around going, you know what, there's nothing to do, and then eat their sibling.
You don't remember Zachary? Me too.
Okay. When you die, the last sense that leaves your body is the ability to hear, which basically means you can hear who goes, oh, thank God he's finally dead, so I know who to come back and haunt.
I mean, last minute decisions, but yeah, let's go.
More than 80% of our ocean is unmapped, unobserved, and yet unexplored.
I mean, yeah, because we only, can get so deep before our stuff starts breaking.
And the stuff that they've found where they can get is scary enough.
Is it not?
Cthulhu. Anyway.
He doesn't care about us.
No, he doesn't even notice that we're here. According to the
Lore.
Yeah. It's possible to die from holding in a sneeze. Injuries from holding in a sneeze can also be serious, such as ruptured brain aneurysms, ruptured throat, and collapsed lungs.
I'm all set with that. I try not to hold any of them in, but sometimes I'm waiting and it never comes out. So now I'm afraid I'll rupture my brain from it not listening and just getting out.
Anyone that knows him knows that rupturing his brain would only be an improvement. Mobile phones are 10 times dirtier than a toilet seat.
Oh.
But yet when I walk around with a used toilet seat on my head, people are like, ew, gross.
Wait. Which fact is it that I'm getting questioned on?
The actual fact, because you've never seen me wear a dirty toilet seat.
Sure.
Anyway, King Charles II drank alcohol mixed with pulverized human skulls.
Oh, good.
Yes. And we have a new King Charles over in England now.
Yay!
Arrhythmic death syndrome is a sudden condition where someone seemingly healthy dies with no apparent cause of death.
Okay,
It's
that's
like
a
SIDS
lie.
for adults.
It's a lie.
It happens.
No, listen here.
It happens.
Okay, it's like fibromyalgia, which is just pain in your back or whatever. It's a lie word made up for people just die sometimes and there's no reason.
No, fibromyalgia is also a real thing. I know multiple people that have it. Don't do that.
What? Wait, no. There's one that's
they can't
it
find
means
out
something.
what causes it. No, dude.
Whatever.
You're about to, we haven't posted yet and you've already got people angry in the comments. Shut up.
Listen here. I don't know anything.
That's the point of the show.
Don't get mad. I'm dumb.
$250,000. That's 250,000 for
know.
those people who hate math like you.
I hate it, but
Deaths
I know
a
it.
year are due to medical errors.
Only 250,000?
Pharma.
Only
That's
250,000?
just, doctors making mistakes. Yeah.
Every
And
year?
nurses. Yep.
That's way lower than I thought it would be.
Well, this is in the United States.
Right.
Not in the world. Cause,
No.
during the mummification process, ancient Egyptians removed the brain with a hook through one of the nostrils.
Oh, yeah. I knew that one.
People with Cotard's syndrome believe that parts of their body are missing or that they are dying, dead, or don't exist.
So that's where the sixth
they
finger
may think nothing exists.
Nothing exists? Well, this is all a simulation? What are we, in the Matrix?
Fatal familial insomnia makes it impossible for someone to sleep for months at a time. That's what it is. And they call it fatal because eventually it can kill you.
Sleep deprivation can kill you, yeah.
Criminologists estimate that there is a 1 in 3 chance police will not identify your killer if you're murdered in the United States.
I knew the chances were bad.
33% of murders just don't get solved ever.
That's not a good thing.
Right. You are more likely to die on your birthday. The chance someone will die on their birthday is 6.7%, which is higher than any other day.
So as long as I make it through my birthday,
That's
I'm basically all right.
sure. Some female spiders allow their young to eat them alive.
To eat the mother alive,
Mm-hmm.
she just like,
Feeds them with her. She's like, I
That's-
did my job. I made my babies. Eat up. And the last one, number 25. The average person walks past 36 murderers in their lifetime.
only 36?
Yes. And that's an average.
Wait, so I'm not the average person. How many have I walked by? I'm
You would have
dumber
to
than
walk
the average
places, so
bear.
probably 0.
I walk places all the time at night when nobody else is out.
Anyway. All right, so that's the first half of the show. And
guess
then
so.
we're going to come back next week. He's going to be sober, and I'm going to give him a small quiz on these questions, or on these facts.
Yes.
And just see how much he retained.
All right.
All right?
All right.
All right.
All right.
Until
all right,
the second
all right.
half, because I don't have a good sign off yet. I'll think of one before the second half, and then we'll use it every week. But hey, and I'm gonna put it out there. If anyone can give me a good idea for a sign off, I'm willing to take ideas. But nobody's gonna see this.
But
yet.
until then,
No one's gonna see this before the second half is recorded. So that's
Right.
a
Yeah.
silly thing to ask.
so
Never
email
mind.
the thing that doesn't exist yet and tell us what you think.
But until next week, I've been your teacher, Craig,
And I've been your baked Jason.
and see you next week.
I have been a baked Jason.
Like, literally, they have rules about not promoting drug use, and you jumped right in going, but if you live close enough, you can go over to a state that... It's like, shut up.